you need these 5 fruits as a snail farmer. Yes, you must try as much as possible to have them in your snail farm as a snail farmer or intending snail farmer. Hello everyone, you're welcome back once again to my channel where I share with you all you need to know and all you need to do to be very successful in snail farming business. So in today's video, I'm actually going to be sharing with you 5 major crops of fruit that you actually need to have in your farm or within your farm as a snail farmer or intending snail farmer. And then one may ask, why do I actually need to have these fruit or crops within my farm or around my farm? Can't I just buy them outside? Can't I be buying them outside to make use of them whenever I actually want to do that? Well, it might be true, but the truth still remains that as a snail farmer, it's not every single thing that you actually need to buy outside. There is some that you need to have in your farm or within your farm that will assist you and that will help you in the management of your farm, in the feeding and other stuff. So in this video, that is what I'm actually going to be sharing with you. And the first one I'm actually going to be talking about is plantain or banana. Yes, as a snail farmer or intending snail farmer, from that first day you started planning of becoming a snail farmer or you started planning of going into snail farming, it's very important that you try as much as possible to make provision for plantain within your farm or around your snail farm or banana. This is because you will always be needing mulching material, and you can get this mulching material from the dry plantain leaves or from the dry banana leaves. Now what happens is this: when you get these mulching materials and put them in your pen or in your snail housing, it makes the place more comfortable for them. And many may argue that there is a lot of mulching source that you can get apart from plantain leaf. Yes, I'm not actually going to argue about that, and I'm not going to tell you that is not truth. But personally, I actually prefer plantain leaves. It's not as if other sorts of mulching aren't good. No, they are, but personally I prefer plantain leaf, and that is what I have been using. One of my reasons is that it's very easy to source for, and then another reason why I prefer it so much is that they are very soft. So when you wet it, it retains water on its leaf and make the place cool, and that is why I love it so much. It's very soft. Unlike when you're comparing it with other ones that you can use, you find out that they are not as soft as plantain leaves or banana leaves, dry ones. And when you, by the time you wet the place, you find out that it's as if once water touches the leaf of those mulching, it's as if it just drops off immediately, and because of the hardness of those leaves, you understand? So personally, that's why I prefer plantain leaf to other ones. So going back to what we are talking about today, you actually need a plantain tree or banana tree around your farm, because you might say, okay, I have someone that have it, I can be getting from the person. Yes, there is no problem if it's very easily accessible to you, because you know from time to time the mulching will actually fade off and they will need to be replaced. So now you will not think of how long will I be actually be sourcing this mulching material from somewhere else, except for those who are actually not using their own permanent site. Then you can say, okay, let me be managing getting from some other person till I am able to move to my permanent site. But if you are actually on your own site, you are actually in your own compound, then I would advise you there's no need you not having your own plantain or banana tree where you can always get your mulching material, because at the interval of 4-5 months you always need to change them. But if you have your own where you can always get it from, it becomes very easy. It makes the work easier for you. You just get and change, always replace those old ones and then put new ones, and it makes the place more suitable and more comfortable to the snails. So the second one I will be talking about is pawpaw. Just as I have said, if you are also in your permanent site, from that first day you started thinking of having a snail farm, please go and plant one. Why is that you will always be feeding the snails with the fruit. You get the fruit, it eat the main one, get the peas and give them. 2 is that they also feed on the leaves. Now just think of each time you are going outside to go and buy pawpaw because you want to use them to feed your snails. It might be very cheap. Most likely when you go to this market where they sell fruit, sometimes you get a lot of that they were not able to sell and they are getting spoiled. You just chatter it, buy it, and it will be very cheap for you. Sometimes if they don't sell it, they will just tell you to pack it. I'm telling you from experience what I do. But if you already have your own in your compound or in your farm, you find out that it will actually help you to go a long way in the feeding of your snail, because you will not always need to be going. As anytime you don't have the strength to go, you can easily get from your farm and then feed the snails. That is the second fruit that you also need to try as much as possible to make sure you have in your farm or within your farm as a snail farmer or someone who is actually trying to start up a snail farming business. So the third one I'll be talking about is cocoyam. So even in greenhouse, for those of you that are in greenhouse, is a must-have. You need to have it even in your greenhouse because the snails also feed on it. But for those of us that are also using the intensive system of snail farming, you also need to have the cocoyam around your farm or within your farm, so that from time to time you always get their leaves and give them. The snails feed on the cocoyam's leaf very, very, very well. So you can always get the leaves, give your snails, and they will do what? They will feed on it. I have always tell people that I don't really depend or based on a particular food for my snails. No, I give them variety of food. I give them variety of fruit. If I give my snails cocoyam today and probably they didn't like it or they didn't eat it very, very well as I expected them to eat it, I might not give it to them tomorrow. I can give them another thing tomorrow. I might give it to them the next day, or I can even leave it that day and see if they eat it very well the next day. Then before I will not change and give it to them. But what I'm just trying to say is that you should be able to have variety of food or variety of fruit or variety of vegetable that you can always give them, instead of depending solely on one or two particular kind of food that you can give your snails. So as you are planning to start up your snail farming, or you have already started, if you have a space, you have where you can cultivate cocoyam, please go ahead and cultivate it so that you always have one to fall back on whenever you want to feed your snails. And then the fourth one I'll be talking about is bitter leaf. Yes, bitter leaf. Even your own compound, you eat bitter leaf. Aside of you eating it, you should also have it so that you can be feeding your snails with it. So many persons have always reached out to me, and most of them will say they fed their snails with bitter leaf and they didn't eat it, that they don't like it. Well, what I always reply them is, if they did not eat it that day, try it another day. It may be that day maybe they are okay, but these things are like, they are animals, so they behave like animal too. If they are well fed or they don't feel like eating it that day, that doesn't mean that they don't like it. I have a lot of persons who tell me that my snail doesn't even eat watermelon, and yet these are what mine don't even joke with. So you understand. So what am I saying? You should try as much as possible, even if you are staying in a rented apartment, as long as you have a space where that is not German floor, you can just put up bitter leaf there. People can even believe that you just put it there so that anytime you want to cook bitter leaf, you can go there, take care of bitter leaf and go and cook. And yet it will also be serving another purpose for you, which is what? Feeding your snails with it. And also another thing is that it's also medicinal to the snails. Yes, it's medicinal to the snails, and the snails also like it so much. That is why even in our villages you always see snails around bitter leaf. That is to show you that they like bitter leaf. And the last one, which is the fifth one I'll be talking about, is pumpkin. Pumpkin is actually what we call the ogo. If you are from the eastern part here, ogo, what we call ogo, that is the pumpkin. You can have it in your compound or your garden. And very much important for those of us that are in your own permanent site, or those of us, you have enough space where you can actually cultivate it. And yes, go ahead, cultivate as much as possible. You also feed from it, and then you also have the ones that you can be giving your snails. One thing about the pumpkin is that the snails also like pumpkin, but they don't eat it. They don't eat it like that. But the only thing is that it also helps you to do what? To always change food for the snails. So meaning that if you actually feed them with pumpkin today, at least other things can come the next day, and then the next day, and just like that before you come back again to pumpkin. So if you are actually someone that are in your own apartment, or you are in a rented apartment, but you have a space where you are doing your snail farming, and also there's a space where you can cultivate this pumpkin, which is the Coco, please, I would advise you also go ahead and cultivate it, because it will help you a lot in the feeding of the snails. And the one I would have talked about, but I know most of us actually cultivate it, is watermelon. But for those that are in the northern side where these watermelons are being cultivated, please, if you are within that side and you are a snail farmer or intending snail farmer, do well to cultivate it, because you always need it. The snails like it so much. I can tell you from my own experience in my snail farm, they like it so much. And there is a lot of other leaves, other vegetables, other crops that you can also have, but at least these ones are the ones that you really need. I know most of us that are in the south or the eastern part of the country, most of these vegetables we don't even cultivate them. But if you go to the northern, where you cultivate a lot of vegetables like cabbage and most of them, you can cultivate all these things and have them in excess, because you always be feeding your snails with them. Personally, I don't cultivate cabbage in my side. We don't cultivate it. But do you know that I always go to food market to get cabbage that I feed my snails with, and I spend money to buy them. Now imagine if it is something I know how to cultivate, or I can cultivate, although probably I'm looking at giving it a try and see if it works for me. If it's something we cultivate, I can be cultivating it, and it will do what it will reduce or take away that cost that I'm actually using to go and buy it. So as someone who is actually trying to venture into snail farming business, or as someone who is already into it, please put as much as possible these measures in place before starting, because it's actually going to help you. Try as much as possible to make sure you have your plantain within you, or your banana, and then you have pawpaw planted around you, you have your bitter leaf and other ones that you can actually cultivate, because it's actually going to help you a long way in the feeding and in the management of your snail farming business. And let me know in the comment section, which of these food do you have in your snail farm? Which of them do your snail prefer eating so much? Please share with me in the comment section. Let's learn together, and then I'm going to respond to you and tell you the ones I have and the ones my snail prefer so much. Thank you once again for watching this video. Remember, if you have not subscribed to this channel, please go ahead, smash that subscribe button for me, like this video, turn on the notification icon, share this video so that other persons will actually get to know about it and to help them in their snail farming journey. And remember also, if you have not actually joined our Telegram channel, the link is in the description of this video. Thank you once again. See you in my next video. Bye for now. Cheers.